What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the RGVSports.com football podcast. My name is Brian Ramos.
I'm Ivan Palacios, and
And I'm Edward.
And we're the trifecta, man. We got us going. We are after week one, an exciting week one across the Rio Grande Valley and across the whole Texas high school football scene. And of course, it all starts with us right here in the 956. And guys, I mean, we had some good games last week. Teams getting we're after those tune-up scrimmages and two-a-days, or you know what I mean, fall camp, whatever they call it nowadays. Now here we are in week one, the Texas high school football season off and rolling. Let's just start with a quick run around between us and break us down with some thoughts, some week one takeaways, and what really impressed you there in week one.
yeah, man. I mean, lots of big games. Over at the 6A level, you had Economides, La Jolla, Westlake High all open up with wins over in 31 6A. Economides is a team we talked about early on. A team that to look out for, and we'll dive into them a little later. But it's just impressive for them to start off the way they did. Even La Jolla, man. We've heard of that big back Mauricio Mendoza. It looks like he has a running mate now in the backfield. They had another guy rush for over 100 yards. I actually had more yards than Mauricio, so hey, La Jolla could end up being dangerous this year, man, if those two can put it together. And
Mhm.
just some exciting games out there, man. It's what a start. Finally the pads are on, the rankings, all that stuff's out the window. Now it's time to prove it on the field, man.
Edward, your thoughts, man, after a week one that we saw some really good action across the valley.
Yeah, I think what stood out to me the most was how many players just balled out. This last week, so many big stats. I got to go to a big stat game, Mackay versus Los Fresnos. Robert Pineda had 242 rushing yards. Mackay quarterback threw for over 300 something yards. Finn Henderson, the receiver from Mackay, had 198 yards, four touchdowns, excuse me. He was electric. There's defensive players on both sides making plays. Schwartz and Sanchez, two players that we've, profiled uh, to lead up to the season. And well, I mean, that game delivered. And so a lot of really good football, a lot of good offense, which is kind of sometimes, you don't expect offenses to come out and play that great, but, week one, but a lot of teams in the Valley did. And Rio Hondo put up 63 on Valley View. And, so it was a good first week of Valley football, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And then to keep things going there with our week one, just a quick run through. I mean, I got to give a shout out to McAllen Row Warriors with the 49-35 win over Harlingen South. I think that was one of my surprising takeaways of the week. I know Harlingen South had some really good players back on both sides of the ball, and then Rowe comes out and picks up a big win on the road. So just really impressive. Congratulations to Jamar Taylor on that win. And then a couple other teams I wanted to hit on that I think had something to improve, and they proved it. Edinburgh Vela, I think all had questions surrounding their offense and what they were going to look like. And then, but that defense, man, that defense is lights out. They're going to be one of the best units here in the Valley in the 2025 season. And then finally, Mission Veterans, who we'll get into in a little bit. But they had something to prove, and I think they did there in week one with a very convincing win. So just wanted to touch on them, some of our week one takeaways. But we'll get started with a quick run through and recapping the week one. And Ivan, I mean, we'll start with RGVSports.com top 10 football poll. Ivan, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, man, and starting at number one, it's a team that we highlighted this offseason. We ranked them number one. I think they've been number one in our rankings for the past couple of years. That's the PSJ North Raiders, man. I had a chance to go out there and see them their week one opener against San Benito. Guys injured on both sides of the ball. It don't matter, man. They go and pick up that win 49-14. It's just next man up. And I think that's what makes them so good. Coach Coffin, set freshmen, sophomore, juniors, it don't matter. If you're good, you're going to find the field. And these guys really stepped up. I mean, then when you got 21 in your backfield, Ethan Guerra, I mean, almost 200 yards and four touchdowns, you always got a chance. Doesn't matter who's in, who's out. That guy gives you a chance to win the ball game. And I think this just shows how good they are. They're down their starting quarterback. They're down one of their best defensive players in Ethan Montemayor and they still come out and dominate like they did, man. So, number one, once again, the PSJ North Raiders, what a start. And, it's exciting to see what's up next for them and to keep things rolling here, coming in at number two. Edward, you got a chance to see this team firsthand on, their season opener. I mean, what could you tell us about the Los Fresnos Falcons?
Yeah, they played really good against like I said, a really good Mackay team that we have a lot of, love for, and that we think they could do good this year too. And home game, and Pineda looks, really good, like just like he left off last year, and I expect Los Fresnos probably to be that best 6A team, but at three we got Brownsville Vets, and what I'm saying, that game should be really good this year. Belmonte's had a few touchdowns in that game, in their game, week one, and then you were at Westaco, right, for that game of the week. So
Yeah, man.
see,
I mean,
tell me what you like
you
about the
know,
Panthers.
they're good, flat out. There's a reason they jumped up a couple spots here to number four, man. I mean, we knew they had Chris Luna. The kid's a baller. He balled out in his first game at quarterback, almost 300 total yards, three passing touchdowns, one rushing. Put the team on his back. We'll get a little more into that game here in a bit, but I mean, you add in that weapon in Malachi Rodriguez, man. He just adds a whole nother dimension. First game there with the Panthers, scores three touchdowns. They're dangerous, man. I think he takes them to a whole nother level. You already had playmakers, Joseph Leal, Chris Luna, David Garcia in the background, in the backfield. Now you had another guy, newcomer of the year last year, coming off 1,000 rushing yards. He played receiver, he played quarterback, he played running back. No matter what, that guy was putting up numbers. So they're impressive, man. I mean, it's only week one, but I came away impressed with that game, and I think Coach Stroman there's got himself a solid team, which is why the Panthers jump up a little. And at number five, Brian, it's a team that you kind of touched on right now. A team that we had question marks on. They do drop a spot here, but they're not to be taken lightly. That's for sure.
Yeah, the Edinburgh Vela Sabercats, yeah, they're definitely the real deal. Tyler Ruiz steps in there, quarterback, and keeps the offense on track and everything. And then Chris Caballero does his thing, running the ball in the backfield. And they got multiple backs going because I mean they were up big against Edinburgh North, and it all started with that defense. And man, uh, OJ Connell had himself a day. Mario Cavazos had himself a day, but I mean, I don't think anybody's had a better day than defensive back Caden Hoover, who we'll get into in just a second. But yeah, Edinburgh Villa Sabercats, they're the real deal. They slide down just a bit, but that's because Westaco High jumps up after that big win over Harlingen, and Edinburgh Villa picked up a win over Edinburgh North. So nothing. It's not a knock on the Sabercats to say it's just giving credit to Westaco coming off that big win. So shout out to Sabercats, man. They still look Sabercats strong. So expecting good things from them. And the same goes for the next few teams, two teams here actually at number 6 and 7. McAllen Memorial at number 6, Mercedes at number 7. They both moved down a bit, but that's again because Westaco High jumped them after that convincing win. Memorial opens up with a big win over Hannah. They look good, and they're going to be definitely a team to watch this year, as we predicted with our district previews and everything. And then the Mercedes Tigers. I mean, they picked up a big win over Edinburgh High, and that Mercedes team does look like the real deal there. It should be considered the favorite there in 16-5 AD2. And then, guys, I mean, to dive down to the 5AD2 level, we got two Sharyland teams back to back. What do you guys think about our number 8 and 9 teams?
I mean, with Sherilyn High, we knew they could put up points, and they picked up right where they left off this week. 45 points in a win over the Wildcats. Biggest question there, I think, is the defense. It seems like they get themselves into a lot of shootouts. So can the defense make a few stops to kind of, let them get that separation? But I mean, Calvin Harris, he was one of our top five players this year. I think number three is what he ended up coming in on. But 241 passing yards, three touchdowns, 60 rushing yards, two touchdowns. And I'm sure he didn't even play that fourth quarter either, man. So what an athlete. I think Sherilyn High has the offense to be one of the top in the valley. It's just can they have a little bit of defense? And I mean, they're still impressive, man. I mean, that district I think is theirs for the taking. We saw Alice lose week one, but I mean, just to it's not going to be a walk in the park. They got that next team on our rankings, Sherilyn Pioneer. I mean, you guys saw the highlights. That game was something else, man. I mean, what did we learn about the Diamondbacks in week one?
Hey man, I think the Diamondbacks are for real, man. They're Coach Galindo got those boys ready to play, man. I mean, shoot, that was a back and forth game against PSG High, high scoring affair, and PSG High is plenty comfortable playing in those games because they can put up points in bunches. And then Sharyland Pioneer comes out and outduels them on the road too. I think that game was at PSG Stadium. So just really really impressive performance from Sharyland Pioneer to open the season. pick up a big win. And then our number 10 team rounding us out, Ivan, the Edinburgh Economides Jaguars.
Yeah, man. I mean, the Jaguars, it's like we mentioned earlier, it's a team that we kind of have big expectations for. They've been on the come up the past couple of years with Coach Salas, and they opened the season with a 49-0 win over Donna North, and just overall dominant performance. Edward, you got to see them. You were at that game. I mean, what did you see from the Jaguars in that week one win?
Yeah, their offense looks really good. They got a lot of different ball carriers, a lot of different guys that can get involved. Cadion, the quarterback, mixed things up well. They had him mixing things up well with him. He was able to get outside and throw some passes downfield. He looked like a really good quarterback too. So I think that they're gonna, what I'm saying, be a problem for some of those 31-6A teams. They could be the second best one right now. After Edinburgh lost to Mercedes. Mercedes is a really good team, right? We kind of had them really, what I'm saying, like, and so that wasn't like that bad of a loss for Edinburgh if you think about it. But that game should be really competitive, but you kind of have to give the edge to Economides right now, just how clean that offense looked. I know it's down the north and they should beat a team like down the north, but when you're getting like, I don't know, 20 plays over 10 yards in a game, that's really good football.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. The Economides Jaguars, definitely, I think a team that a lot of people didn't, you know what I mean? They may sleep on the Jaguars, they may sleep on
Mhm.
the name, whatever, but hey, man, they're playing a brand new style of football there at Economides. And like you said, Coach Salas is doing a good job with those guys. And with that, we'll dive into our sub 5A rankings. And guys, to quickly run through that, we got the Lafayette Lions there at number one, coming off a big win over Ingleside. And then, guys, we got two impressive teams, I think, there at number two. Lyford and Raymondville picked up some big wins. What can you guys tell us about Lyford and Raymondville coming in tied at the number two spot?
I mean, with the Raymondville, they got a new head coach in Will Littleton. I think we expected a culture change, and for them to come out and stun who we had at number one at the start of the season, St. Joe's 25-22, just what a performance. I mean, freshman quarterback Jeffrey Lefevre. It's not the old one from Vela, guys. It's another Lefevre next in line here. Solid performance, 150 passing yards, but I think he had a touchdown or two throwing as well. But the biggest performer there was running back Trayshawn Washington, a junior, 26 carries, 234 yards, three touchdowns. He just diced his way through that St. Joseph defense. So I think Raymondville is going to be a team to watch. I mean, we saw what Coach Littleton did over at PSG Memorial. Now he's got a program like Raymondville that's always had athletes, but now can he get that out of them? And after that week one win over a St. Joe's team that's really good on paper, it's just impressive. And Edward, I mean, Lyford PI. I mean, you weren't there, but I mean, we've kind of seen a little bit of it. Just what can you tell us about this Lyford squad, man?
Yeah, our photographer, one of our photographers we work with, Andrew, was out there and sent me the video. They've had so many close games these last few years, Lyford and PI. Just crazy endings, and PI didn't get that 2-point conversion, but and 12-13, Lyford's gonna be strong up front. We profiled Gael Silva, and um, yeah, they got a really good offensive and defensive front this year. They might not have some of those big players that we've had in the past, but it's going to be some really tough football. So then when they play in the Cotton Bowl versus Raymondville, that should be a really physical sub 5A game and be possibly a district title decider.
Yeah, and then our next team, they're coming in at number four, the Rio Hondo Bobcats, after dropping, as you said it earlier, Edward, I mean, 63 points, or 60 points, over 60 points there in week one. Impressive performance there by the Bobcats coming against the Valley View team. And then, guys, we got two squads tied at number five. One of them won last week. The other lost, and like as you said, Ivan came tumbling down from that number one spot. Well, let's give a shout out to La Villa, man. They won a shootout against Santa Maria, 50-45, high scoring affair. Both of those teams really good. I mean, Santa Maria's got some ballers, but hey, today Friday night belonged to the La Villa Cardinals. So shout out to La Villa for getting that done. And then Bronzo St. Joseph, as we said, they come out on the losing side of there in week one. But we know that the the Bloodhounds will bounce back and look better as they move forward after falling to a tough Raymondville squad. And then rounding out our sub 5A rankings, the Port Isabel Tarpons. Edward, what can you tell us about PI, man?
Yeah, I think like we said about St. Joseph's, like they were ranked high too, and they just lost tough games. You know, these games can go back and like we said, talked about the Lyford PI last few years, back and forth. They bounced back from a loss to PI or to Lyford like that before, and Lyford's bounced back. You know, so they got one of the best running backs, Luis Ramos, senior quarterback Brian Martinez. I think they'll be all right, but I think they have a tough game this week too. So we'll see what's up. We'll see what's up with the Tarpons. Even if they lose a couple games, you know, they have a really weird district. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They're gonna go to the playoffs. You know, like
yeah,
They're already in, man. They locked
yeah.
in.
yeah,
They're
all those teams.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that wraps up the our breakdown of the this week's RGVSports.com top 10 and sub 5A rankings. And with that said, we'll dive into our players of the week, guys. And man, we had some really big performances there from a couple ballers. I mean, why don't we get started? We'll start with the offensive side, guys. I'll let you take the lead on that, and then I'll go ahead and break down the defensive player.
Yeah, so our offensive player of the week, I mean, 21 carries, 283 yards, 16 touchdowns. Had two catches for 19 yards, averaged 13 and a half yards per carry, man. I mean, that's running back Dylan Tijerina from Sharyland Pioneer. I mean, we saw what he could do 2 years ago as a sophomore. Last year, he was kind of, splitting reps, kind of, I think he was dealing with an injury as well. But I mean, to come out and do that against, in the shootout, you expect high passing numbers in a shootout game like that. Not this one. He scores 6 of their 7 touchdowns, you know, 283 yards, like I said, over 300 total yards. Just what a performance by the senior running back there at Pioneer. And definitely well-deserved offensive player of the week honors. It seemed like no one wanted to tackle him, and even if they wanted to, they couldn't, man. I mean, 13 and a half yards, he was almost an automatic first down during this game, man. So huge game for Dylan Tijerina. Just, quick shout out to him, and, and he got the win. I mean, what a better way to start your senior year than put up those kind of numbers and give your team a week 1 win.
Yeah, absolutely. He ran wild there in week one and a deserved winner after some really good week one performances there. Really across the Rio Grande Valley, we saw a bunch of good numbers being put up by many players. But hey, man, Jalen Hitting might have been the best in a big game, picking up a big win over PSJ High. And that leads us into the RGVSports.com defensive player of the week for week one, and that is Edinburgh Bella defensive back Caden Hoover. I mean, guys, the guy had 3 tackles, right? But he had 5 interceptions. Man, and you're playing the secondary 3 tackles. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. You stuck your nose in there and we made some stops, but 5 picks, man. I mean, that's crazy. That's outlandish. Though, you know what I mean? Those are numbers you dream about when you're using that user defender in Madden or NCAA. You know what I mean? Trying to pick off somebody 5 times, but that's crazy, man. And not only is he our RGVSports.com defensive player of the week. He's also the Texas Ford Dealers Bill Ford Tough defensive player, one of the players of the week there after week one. So shout out to him. They presented him with that award earlier today. So yeah, shout out to Caden Hoover. Shout out to Dylan Tijerina. I mean, 2 guys absolutely balled out on both sides of the ball there in week one to earn those honors. So man, I mean, we'll be doing this weekly, giving a breakdown and highlighting the top offensive and defensive players across the valley. So coaches, make sure to send those stats into Valley Sports at the monitor. If you had somebody that balled out offensively, defensively, we're going to give them some love. So yeah, definitely send those in to us, and we'll keep highlighting the best here in the Rio Grande Valley. And guys, now. With that, we can dive into our week one recap, which we can quickly run down. Ivan, you had the game of the week. Why don't you kick us off, man?
Yeah, man. I mean, the game of the week took us to Bobby Lackey Stadium this past week. We had Harlingen High coming in to take on the Wesleyan High Panthers, and honestly, it didn't play out anything like we expected. I mean, we expected a close one, and it got close towards the end. But let's be honest, Wesleyan High took out their starters and allowed Harlingen to kind of crawl back into it. But just a dominant performance from start to finish from Wesleyan High. Chris Luna, 273 total yards, 4 touchdowns. David Garcia in the back in the backfield, 72 rushing yards. And we already talked about Malachi, man, 12 carries, 44 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Wesleyan High jumped out early in this one, didn't really look back. Harlingen managed to cut it to a 14-point game there in the fourth quarter. thanks to a touchdown pass by Hassan Woolery and then a quick pick six. But Luna comes right back in. He had been sitting in the bench for like a quarter now, kind of cooled down. What does he do? He leads the touchdown drive, jumps over the line from the 1 yard line to kind of seal that deal. So just a dominant performance from start to finish from Wesley Guy. There's a reason they jumped up. It is worth mentioning though, Harlingen was without their star running back Noah Huerta. He was suited up. He had his ankles taped up. He suffered an injury apparently during a scrimmage, and he was kind of a game time decision. They didn't know if he was going to play, and he said he felt good, but the coaches felt it better to kind of keep him off. So not too sure if it would have made a difference. We'll never know now. The game's in the book. You can't get it back. But, I'm sure, he would have loved to be out there for that one. And, we wish him a speedy recovery. Hopefully he comes back in time for this next week. But like I mentioned, dominant performance from Wesley Ohio. That one again, 49-28 in favor of the Panthers that just flexed their muscle. And, last year they started 0-2 to start the season, ended up going on a pretty decent playoff run. Now they start 1-0 and they're chasing that perfect season and that district ball in 31-6A.
Yeah, I mean, just a really, really impressive performance that, I mean, I think that reflects in our top 10 rankings. I mean, Westaco balled out. They moved up a few spots. And, man, you know what I mean? Anytime you can beat a tough Harlingen squad, that's impressive. So, and like you said, shout out to Noah. Hopefully he gets back on the field and gets back healthy and gets back out there because one of the best players in South Texas, regardless of position. So, looking forward to seeing them and then seeing Noah get back out there. But to keep things rolling, we'll dive into my Thursday night football game. That took us to Richard Flores Stadium for a matchup between the Mercedes Tigers and Edinburgh High Bobcats. And Mercedes, man, I think, as we said, 16-5A D2 favorite, and they showed why there in week one. Sure, things might have started off slow, but I think things started off slow for both sides in this game because Mercedes and Edinburgh High have really good defenses on both sides. And even though Edinburgh High gave up 21 points, I mean, a couple scores came late, as Edinburgh High was trying to fight back in it, and Edinburgh High actually both teams gave the ball away plenty. There were I think a combined 7 fumbles in this game, lost fumbles too. So back and forth, just teams giving it back and forth, one possession here, one possession there. Bit of a shaky start, but these defenses really balled out. And then the difference maker was Frankie Salinas, Mercedes defensive back. He starts the scoring with a pick six there at the end of the second quarter, nearing halftime, returns it for nearly 60 yards. And then Noah Buenrostro, 2 rushing touchdowns. And not only did he have 2 rushing touchdowns, the dude's also kind of like a star, like a outside linebacker, nickelback safety hybrid, and he did his thing. 2 rushing touchdowns, 11 tackles. So shout out to Noah Buenrostro for a good game there in week one. But yeah, they come out with a 21-7 win over the Edinburgh High Bobcats. And as you said, I mean, I know we had Edinburgh High number 10 in our initial rankings, and they lose. They got a new quarterback in there, new head coach, and their defense played really well. So the defense is going to be there for Edinburgh High. I'm definitely confident of that. They got some serious playmakers on that side of the ball, and the offense will slowly take shape. And of course, you want to get that ready for district play. So coaches will take the slow starts now. You know what I mean? In non-district action, hopefully build things up to get prepared for district play, and I think the Bobcats will do that. But Mercedes, they look as good as it gets. And then Edward, I know we talked about it earlier, man, but Economides, man, they absolutely balled out and looked like a team that people should start taking for real.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Yeah, and like we said, that game should be really big between that crosstown rivalry game should be really big, and yeah, really impressed with how they played Thursday night and then Friday night. That was a really good game, like we talked about, and so I already kind of like spoke about the games that I went to, but one of the districts that I cover, 16-5 AD2, had a lot of good games this past week, and Brownsville Porter won their first game in a couple of seasons. So shout outs to them. Brownsville Pace lost a lot. They beat Hidalgo, good, pretty decent win, considering they lost a lot. And Brownsville Lopez picked up a big win with a couple sophomores making a lot of plays. Their quarterback Moreno threw for I think like over 280, 270 yards, something around there, and so everybody but PSA Southwest won in that district. So, great way to start. At Couch also beat Donna. And then, like you said, the Mercedes game. So just lead into the overall recap. Shout outs to 16-5 AD2 for starting off the season strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to stay there at the 5A D2 level, man, we had the Battle of Conway go down in Mission, Tom Landry Stadium. The Mission Veterans Patriots roll to a 28-0 win over Mission High. Roman Reina, 3 touchdown passes, and the guy that really got them started, linebacker slash running back Ryan Guerra, 7 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles. And he's also started the scoring with the 40-yard touchdown run there in the first quarter. So Ryan Guerra, absolute dude. That's a couple guys there for Mission Veterans and Mercedes, balling out on both sides of the ball. And to give another shout out to Frankie Salinas from Mercedes, I don't think I mentioned it, but not only did he have that pick six, he had 4 catches for 65 receiving yards. Almost had a touchdown, brought down at the 1 yard line. But man, and that dude's only a sophomore. So is Noah Buenrostro. So Mercedes Tigers, man. We didn't even mention Robert and Eddie Ramirez and the dudes. You know what I mean? Diego Bravo and the other ballers that they have. So yeah, that Mercedes team is going to be the real deal. We talked about Rowe earlier. 49-30, 35 win over Harlingen South. Jose Jimenez, 4 TDs in that one. So new offense, new look under Coach Jamar Taylor, and they roll to a win. Ivan, any other week 1 games you want to touch about before we move on to our week 2 look ahead?
Yeah, I mean, just want to give a quick shout out again to PSJ North. We talked about Ethan, but let's give a shout out to Isaiah Garza, man. Only a sophomore. The kid set the tone from the opening kickoff, set them up inside the 20-yard line, led to an Ethan Ghetto touchdown. But I mean, he also did it with his legs. He did it through the air. The kid's a baller. Coach Kaufman really praised him and how much he's put the work in the weight room, and he looks like a dude out there. I mean, 130 total yards, 2 touchdowns, was on kick returns, and anytime that kid touched the ball, it looked like he was a big play waiting to happen. So PSJ North, man, loaded with weapons again, defensively, offensively. They got those dudes. There's a reason they're number one. And just a quick rundown through some other games we mentioned already. Raymondville beats St. Joseph's 25-22. Pioneer comes up with that 49-42 win, and Lyford 13-12 over Port Isabel. So just tons of big games. I mean, we can spend all day talking here about those, but just got to give a shout out to those guys that big time wins to start the season there.
Yeah, also shout out Isaiah Garza, baller in football, also our newcomer in basketball this past year as a freshman. So that dude's a real baller on the court, on the gridiron. Don't matter, you catch him, and he's a bucket. He's a big play waiting to happen, whatever you want to call it, man. But yeah, so that wraps up our week 1 recap, and we'll dive into our week 2 look ahead, guys. And as always, we always kick things off our week 2 preview with the RGVSports.com game of the week. Ivan, why don't you break it down for us?
Hey, we're heading back to Bobby Lackey this week, man. I mean, back-to-back games of the week for Wesleyan High as they take on the number 6 McAllen Memorial Mustangs. And, they both opened up with some impressive wins. We already talked about Wesleyan High's win over Harlingen, but McAllen Memorial beats Hannah 37-14. And, this one was full of fireworks last year. Memorial came out on top 45-38, and I expect much of the same offense this year. They both bring back some playmakers. You got Michael Alanis there. Every time he touches the ball at McAllen Memorial, it looks like a touchdown. I mean, 3 catches last week, 2 of them go for a touchdown. Kane Coy at quarterback. You got guys like Braxton Spates at running back. And obviously we talked about the guys at Weslaco, Chris Luna, Malachi, Garcia, you got Joseph Leal. So expect a lot of offense in this one. Like I mentioned, second straight game of the week appearance, and that's this Friday, 7:30 p.m. at Bobby Lackey Stadium. Should be a good one, man. They had the fireworks last year. I don't see why we wouldn't get them again this year.
Yeah, that one should be a good one. And then, guys, I mean, it's also a bit of a rivalry week. We have several inner city rivalries going down this week, and I mean, the Bird Bowl might be the biggest one of them. You know what I mean? Edward, what do you got to say about the Bird Bowl, man? I mean, coming into this year, both teams 0-1. Both teams will be looking to bounce back, and especially again do it against the rival.
Yeah, I expect, a lot of offense in this game based on, last week. I know West Coast defense pretty good. Held, Harlingen in check. Maybe Huerta plays. If he does, then wow, it's just be a really good game. Schroeder threw for like 1,000 yards against McAllen Row. I don't know, like 5 something, right? Crazy. So I mean, both teams have had good defenses in the past. They have some good defensive players, but hopefully it's a really high scoring, entertaining game, and just like how the season's already kind of been so far. A lot of stats. I don't think I've ever seen this many in the last few years, right? Covering high school football down here. So many stats week 1. Like
Mhm.
So many guys just balling, 200 yards here, 200 yards there, 300 yards there. It's like it's pretty it's good to see a lot of young players balling too. So that game should be good. Brownsville St. Joseph's versus Brownsville Veterans. That's been a good little rivalry game in the last couple of years in that city. Even though they're not, one's UIO, one's Tabs. They've been going at it. They'll be playing in Brownsville St. Joseph's. And then you got what the PHA High and PHA North, Brian.
Yeah, yeah. Tri-City Classic, PSA High, PSA North, there at PSA Stadium Friday night. That one should be a good one. Edinburgh Vela, Edinburgh High, is another one here in Edinburgh. And then, guys, we got a couple big ones at the sub 5A level. I mean, we got a couple bangers, I think. Why don't you? I mean, who wants to get us started? I mean, we got two. We can go either way. We got a couple heavyweight matchups between some sub 5A squads.
Yeah, I'll kick it off with the game I'll be at this Thursday. We got a pair of the top five teams in Port Isabel and Rio Hondo going at it there at Bobcat Stadium in Rio Hondo. That's this Thursday at 7 p.m. Last year was a wild one, man. The rain started coming down heavy there in the fourth quarter. Rio Hondo had a chance to win it there. The field goal in the rain, obviously no good. Instead, PI gets that win in overtime. Luis Ramos game-winning run there in overtime, and it should be another big one this year. The teams they're two of our top teams for a reason. PI's coming off that heartbreaker to Lyford. Rio Hondo was riding that high after they put up 63 on Valley View. It's, who's going to win this one? It's going to come down. I think it's going to be a physical one. Last year it was, and I expect much of the same this year as the game shifts over to Rio Hondo. And, we'll see. I mean, Rio Hondo put up 63. It was against Valley View. Now you got a tougher test in Port Isabel coming into town. So we'll see how that one plays out.
And then La Villa, Lyford, another big one. I mean, both teams 1-0 there, coming off impressive wins. So excited to see that one. And then another game I want to touch on that should be good. Ed Couch Elsa, Mission Veterans. Ed Couch Elsa defending district champs. Mission Veterans proved something there in week one. So that one should be a good matchup there as we move on to week two. Guys, well, I mean, that wraps up our week two preview. I mean, exciting times here in the Rio Grande Valley. We're just getting started here on the RGVSports.com football podcast. We'll be coming to you weekly. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube for everything high school football and UTRGV football. You could all find it there. So with that said, I'm Brian Ramos. For Edward, for Ivan, we are the RGVSports.com football podcast. Thank you for joining us. We'll catch you next time.